everything that we're doing. In a lot of our trainings, though, I've been doing like really basic, simple properties. To tell you the truth, like the west side of Hawaii, Ocean Point, it's a very cookie cutter, straightforward type property valuation. So a 3-bedroom with 1,200 square feet, single family Ocean Point, compared to another 3-bedroom, 1,200 square feet, single family Ocean Point home, they're roughly going to be worth very similar values. So it's very easy to do. Sales are huge. So obviously having confidence in what you're doing. And again, being able to keep people moving forward from wanting to buy a property to actually buying a property is what your job is. However, on the backside, if people ask you specific advising questions and you either can't answer it or you just blow it up, it won't be good for your relationship with that client. And again, we're going to use a real world property that we had, because we have some high-end clients right now that were like, hey, you know, we want to know exactly what the value of this is. And we had to literally be able to go through and show them data, show them statistics and numbers and say, hey, based on all this information, the property is priced well, or it's underpriced, or it's overpriced. So that is basically, at the end of the day, you can kind of talk the talk and walk the walk, but at a certain point, you do have to have some of these skills as far as being able to go in and calculate a good price per square feet. So like I said, the cookie cutter properties are simple, but when you go to Kaneohe, Kailua, North Shore, Manoa, Kahala, Hawaii Kai, again, in Arizona, if you have areas that are going to be like custom build and all the homes in the neighborhood are different or custom builds, it's not just a cookie cutter value. So you actually have to be able to go in and say, okay, well, in this area, this type of home is going at this price per square foot, and be able to kind of apply that in a similar way. It is not an exact science, though, or at least math problem, because if you have two of the exact same homes, one is a 1980 original, and then you have the exact same home that has, let's say, $100,000 worth of upgrades in it, it doesn't necessarily mean that this home is worth $100,000 more than this one. So there is a little bit of wiggle room and gray area there. You can try to justify the price. There are adjustments with everything, but it's not going to be like a dollar for dollar trade-off in value. So these are some of the things as well. When you have clients that are getting ready to list and sell, they might be talking to you and they might say, hey, Travis, you're the advisor. Should we go ahead and fix these things? What should we fix? And then that's where you actually need to be able to go through and give suggestions and say, hey, I'll tell you what, kitchens, you're not going to necessarily get that return. It's good if it looks good, but flooring is cheap and makes it look a lot better. Paint is cheap and makes it look a lot better, can boost the value, as opposed to going in and putting a $40,000 kitchen in is not necessarily going to get you $40,000 of extra value. However, $10,000 on paint and floor actually might be able to get them that much or even more in value. So these are some things that you actually need to be able to go through and confidently answer. So we'll hop right into it. Let's see, for Jenny there, this will be a little bit different as far as for you guys. I'm going to give you guys a property, and I'll give you guys like 10 minutes to go through and pull some data. And then I'll actually run through and kind of show you exactly what we had done. So let me grab the property address for you. And so this is going to be a super just engaging. I want a lot of questions for today's training, and then we'll make sure that we guys get you squared away. So if you have stuff pop up, just blurt it out there. So, all right, I'll put it in the chat here, the property address. If you have access to MLS, go it. If you don't, just kind of hang out, and then you'll be able to kind of see what we're going to do right after that. So, but again, the same basic principles are going to apply to whatever marketplace you're in. Colorado, Arizona. Me and Zach have already been doing this stuff for the Colorado properties. while you guys are jamming. So it's in there, 3021 Lono Place, Honolulu, Hawaii, 96822. So if you guys can, go in there, just take a look at it, maybe take a couple minutes and kind of just cruise the area. And then we'll hop on there and we'll kind of show you breakdown of exactly the right way to do this type of thing. So, owned solar, how much do appraisers give for owned solar? Just to kind of go into that, again, there's not an exact science to the number. However, there's a couple like formulas that I've kind of found that are pretty common. Actually, for years, right when solar was becoming really popular, appraisers didn't give solar value. They didn't necessarily even know how to apply it. So there was a huge discrepancy that if you had literally two homes exactly the same, one had owned PV on top of the roof, which is photovoltaic, and the other one did not, literally appraisers didn't give it value. And I want to say it was probably 2013, 2014 before they even started to be able to give the value. So the best way that I usually go in and talk about it is it's going to be, it's pretty much the cost of the solar, the photovoltaic, minus the tax credit. So like if you went on and put like 40,000 of photovoltaic on your roof and then you got a $20,000 tax credit, there's probably going to be about 20,000 at least of value added onto the property. Again, I'm not sure of any specific equation that appraisers are using, but that's generally the rule of thumb that I have. Or it even could be, it's either that or it's about $1,000 per panel is kind of roughly what appraisers are able to kind of give for value, or what I have seen it actually increase the value. If anyone knows of anything like specific stuff, I'd love to see it, but that's basically what I have found as far as value goes. So a couple more minutes here. If you guys want to check out that property on MLS, if you guys are engaging on it, check it out. And then again, we're going to hop through some stuff. One sec.
What's wrong?
Grab water.
Oh.
Hey Nisa, you might know this, but when you're recommending paint and flooring, do you always refer the contractors or say like, oh, I have a partnership with like this company, et cetera, et cetera?
So that's going to depend on where the listing is. For sure. Because like someone that we would use for EVA is not someone we would use for something higher, more higher end.
Yeah, true.
Plus our contractor
What about with like
dropping the ball lately? Why do you have someone?
So I'm just thinking like if we partner up with the flooring stores, like the owners and stuff, and give them incentive, like, hey, I'm gonna give you all this business. Can you give us like 10% or something? Is that something you do?
For what's that?
For like flooring, contractual stuff.
If we, to get like a referral?
Business their way, yeah. Like I do that with design. I'm like partnering with Ashley Home Furniture and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give you all these clients and they always give us kickback. Is that something that we can do?
Watch that word kickback. Kickbacks are illegal.
Okay.
So there are certain places where, well, what is it? What's the name of that flooring company?
I know, I can't remember it either.
One of the flooring companies, I'll type it in right when I think of the name of it. They're out there. I think they're actually in Colorado too. That they're basically like a contract flooring place. Mm-hmm. And you can sign up for a business account and have it. And you can actually pass on like the savings to your client and they can literally get stuff at like wholesale pricing. You don't always have to. Actually, they do have like a referral program to where if you sent clients and you didn't pass on that direct savings, I think you do get like a 10% bonus or something like that for sending
markdowns
people out.
And commissions.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So again, you want to be really careful around that. RESPA, just to be straightforward, RESPA, it's you're not supposed to get paid to send people places. So
Okay.
there is like gray area. There are little loopholes to it. Actually, what Cma Termite used, they actually gave gas cards
Oh,
every time you used them, and even that kind of caught some
yeah.
questions. So yeah,
Okay.
but like property management, again, make sure it's like check the legalities of it.
Mhm.
And again, if you have super specific questions, there might be ways that we can help structure it to where it is legal, to where like there's ways of like having it go into like a marketing fund, and as long as that marketing fund is covered, there's just some stuff that attorneys have basically come out with and said, here's the guidelines. So we can definitely share that with you later on. All right, so we'll go ahead and hop into this property real quick. 3021 Lono Place. Let me screen share here with you guys. Did everyone have a chance to at least take a look at it if you could? All right, so this is the property. So we are looking at a 3021 Lono Place in Honolulu, Hawaii 96822. It's listed at 1.425. It's been on the market for 111 days. It was originally on, it's actually been on for a while, but there's some things that you do. So right when you come here and your clients are saying, hey, we need to see a value, we want to know what's going on, you want to just do a couple things and get an idea of what's going on with the property. So you can actually click on the little history tab right here, and it gives you a breakdown of this property's history on MLS. So you can actually see that it came on the market in 2019, and it came on at a whopping almost 1.8 million. And you could say, okay, it didn't work, 2 months on, dropped to 1.7. It was withdrawn. It was relisted. It was relisted at 1.6. And then right here, this is the caveat. So these are some things that you actually communicate to the client. So it actually went into escrow when it was listed at about 1.6. So 1.8 did not work. It failed. So basically, homes are worth what people are willing and able to pay for it. So it's not necessarily worth something until it closes. So this is some stuff that you're actually educating your client, because they're like, well, what's the price? Well, there's no 100% value that you can issue to the property until it actually closes. Whatever price it closes at is the actual value of that property. So, but you do need to be able to go in and say, hey, it's priced well, it should close there. But again, if you found that it was priced well at 1.6, the appraiser might not necessarily agree with you, and therefore it closes at 1.4. So the actual value would be 1.4. So the one thing that you're communicating, because the clients are like, well, it was on the market for a really long time, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, they listed at 1.8. They were grossly overpriced at 1.8. They reduced the price, they withdrew it, they put it on the market, and they dropped down to about 1.6. At that time, it went into escrow. So it went escrow, it went escrow active. They came back on the market, and that could have been an appraisal issue, could have been a buyer's canceling, you don't know. It went back into escrow, again, staying around that 1.6 price point. They actually dropped from 1.6 to 1.55, and it went right back into escrow. So right when it went 1.6, it went into escrow. So for some reason, it didn't work out. They came back on the market, they dropped to 1.55, it went right back into escrow. So what you can communicate to the client with that is it's starting to hit the market value. So 1.8, it failed, nothing happened. But right when they hit 1.6, it actually went into escrow. So somebody liked it, they thought it was worth that, and then they gave that offer probably around that price range. So that means it's starting to get at or close to market value right when it starts being able to go into escrow. So when an escrow came back on the market, it was then withdrawn, and then it was relisted at about 1.5, and then just had dropped down to 1.425. So again, the fact that it's been on the market doesn't necessarily mean that much besides, and so 9 out of 10 times when someone says, why has it been on the market this long? 9 out of 10 times it's overpriced. So it doesn't matter if the property is super nice or a piece of crap, there is a specific value that will go with that property. And with that, again, it's what's the price at. So these clients liked the property. I think they came across it actually at the 1.5 to 1.425 mark. They kind of questioned it, and at 1.425, they have an accepted offer and a backup offer. So our clients, we weren't working with them before. Whoever they were working with before basically said, yeah, go in at list price. And they didn't necessarily like that. I don't know if they felt pressured or what was going on with that. But they ended up hiring us to basically represent them. So in this point, though, they're saying, hey, what is the value? What do you guys eat? What do you suggest that we submit a proper offer at? And let's see here. Again, with that, it's the same thing with a range. Like, you don't necessarily, you kind of want to stay away from saying like a very super duper specific amount. Same thing with sellers. If I were to give a price evaluation on this, I usually give ranges, and I would say, hey, anywhere from between 1.3 and 1.4, it works. If you want to push it a little bit, we could go just above 1.4. But again, at that 1.3 price, it should move pretty quickly. Again, the higher we go, it'll probably stay on the market a little bit longer. And I basically let them come to terms with, okay, we like this price, we want to go with that. The reason why I coach clients to come to terms with the price that they want to submit or they want to list at is because if you set, and very, very few times do I actually say a specific price. If there's a goal in mind that I have for listing a home, I might say that. But ultimately, I want them to see the data and then to choose it. Because again, if they said, I want to put this on the market at 1.5, okay, well, I gave you a range between 1.3 and 1.4. You listing at 1.5, in my opinion, and based on the data, is overpriced. So when they choose to go at 1.5 and it doesn't sell, I could say, hey, remember how you chose 1.5? I didn't. So then it's not placing blame on me. The same thing though, if I said, hey, I say list this thing at 1.3, it should fly off the shelf. If you list it at 1.3 and it doesn't fly off the shelf, now you look like a jerk and the clients basically won't trust you. So that's where I basically give them the data that I've interpreted, and I allow them to kind of interpret what I've advised, and then I let them and I coach them to choose the price because they're choosing it, basically, not me. Very few times do I actually give specific pricing. Okay, so we've seen it was gross overpriced. They dropped down 1.6, 1.55, it starts to move, and then again at 1.425, they literally have an accepted offer and a backup. So realistically, based on that, you should say, okay, 1.425 should be priced well based on the action, but this is where you start going in. So we're going to look at specific areas. So again, if you're in Colorado, you want to basically be able to look in certain neighborhoods and say, okay, well, in the Briargate area, this is what the homes are. You're going to look at the size, bedrooms, bathrooms, maybe a little bit in the upgrades. The year built. So again, a 2015 home is going to be a little bit different than a 1992 home. And those are some things that you kind of factor in. Same thing with Arizona, absolutely neighborhoods. You want to basically know what's going on. So we are looking in the Manoa. So where'd you go, Lono Place? So Manoa area, it's a 6-bed, 3 baths, 2,200 square feet interior living, and a 7,700 square foot lot. So what you want to basically do is we're going to look in Manoa area specifically. Manoa Woodlawn is going to be upper Manoa in the back of the valley. Manoa upper, again, is a slightly different. So we'll basically start with Manoa area and see how the properties kind of range there. If you get enough data right around it, that's what you want to use. So if there's not enough data right around the property, that's where you can either go farther back in time, or you can tweak the areas and start going into areas that are going to be similar around the area as well. So right now I start back 360 days. Realistically, again, what appraisers are looking for is the past 180 days. But it's okay, you can actually use a little bit farther back to give you an idea of what's going on, and then go from there. The one thing you want to be mindful of is if an appraiser, and they've done this in recently, if they feel that there's a downward trend in values and they take a property from a year ago, they will apply that downward trend in the property value. So that could hurt you. So if you had a 1.5 and a 1.5, and a 1.5, one of them is from a year ago, and the appraiser factors in a downward trend of value, that just pulled your value down. So those are some things, again, that you want to be mindful of as you kind of go into very specifics. So we're going to start here, Manoa. We're going to start with Manoa area. And then realistically, we're not going to go 6 bedrooms. We'll go 4+. And then what were there? There were, let's see, sorry guys. Let me actually. So 6 bed, 3 baths again. Okay. So, and we'll even go 2+. Interior living. Let's see, you can actually go in here and then you can kind of start to refine. So here's everything going on at just a rough picture. So, and then you can go in here and you can actually start refining down on the area. So realistically, we have a 925 up to about 2.8. This 2.8 though has 21,000, so significantly more land. So you can actually go into here and say, okay, how could I actually dial this in, try to tighten it up, and get a better property value? Again, 21,000 square feet is not going to be a direct comp of a 7,000 square foot land, especially in Hawaii. Land is very valuable. So these are some things you want to start going in and seeing, how can I tighten it up? Again, 4,000 square feet plus, I mean, you're talking almost twice the square footage. So these are some things that I'm going to tighten it up real quick. So I'm going to cut it off just by doing a quick scan here. I'm going to cut it off at 4,000 square feet interior living. And I'll cut it off at, I'll actually cut it off at about 12,000. I'll cut it off at 12,000 square foot of land, just to kind of go into here. So again, going back to criteria, 4,000 square foot and below. So we don't want to see anything over 4,000 square feet interior. And I don't want to see anything over 12,000 square feet of land. So that should tighten it up quite a bit. So now we're looking at a 6 bed, 5 bath. Let's see here. When you have huge spikes as well, again, if it doesn't necessarily help your valuation, you might actually pull it out. Again, this one is actually just quite a bit bigger. So, and that might be the biggest. So realistically, let me see this one, right? Square footage, 6.5, brand new build. We can keep it in there. And then if we need to pull it out, then we can. Another thing that we can actually look at as well is going to be CPRs or not. So right when I look at here, what are the 2 properties that are kind of, I don't want to say pulling it down, because again, you don't want to manipulate the data too much, because you want the data to speak for itself. And what you're doing is you're taking data and you're using it as an analysis to give value. So this is where you want to watch out, because you can manipulate the data any way you want. So if I wanted to try to do something, I could actually pull specific properties in here, and I could try to, it would actually help my case. But you don't always want to do that. You want to show a true resemblance of the data that you're using. Because again, like, you can skew data to help you any way that you're trying to. But we don't want to do that. We again want to give a true data set and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how it translates. So again, when you're going through and looking at this, with the Manoa Hillside Estates, this is a CPR. It is a property that actually has an association fee. It's part of a, again, CPR or HOA, and that is going to be the Manoa Hillside Estates. So, but when you actually go in and look at this, you can say, okay, well, there's kind of a spike downwards. What are these 925 and 945? These are CPR units, or one of them is, let's see. Which again, it looks and feels like a single family home, but it is a CPR. So one of the reasons that you want to be cautious and know is, if it's already CPR'd, you might not be able to put an ADU on it. You might not be able to subdivide it, because again, a CPR is already subdivided. So a home that you can put an ADU on it, an additional dwelling unit, and a home that you cannot put an ADU on, are going to be worth two different amounts because the home with an ADU on it actually has some sort of potential rental income that would offset the mortgage. The same thing goes for associations. So properties with associations, that association fee can actually eat into the value of the home. And this is one reason when you're looking at condos in town, Honolulu, Waikiki, you want to be very mindful because one of mine and niece's favorite buildings, Honolulu Tower, we love the building. It's a great unit. The maintenance fee is ridiculous. And because the maintenance fee is ridiculous, it doesn't allow the values to go up. And so those are some things as the association and maintenance fees do impact value. So not to go on a rant here, but I'm going to actually take out any CPRs. Again, this 5-4 Manoa Hillside Estates, and it'll actually pull that one. So one way I can do that is I can actually go to CPR up here, and I just put 4 zeros. So 4 zeros means it's a true single family home. If there is a 1 in there, it means it's a CPR. So 4 zeros in the CPR number means it's a true single family home. I'll just be safe, make sure that we got fee simple, doesn't impact anything. And then we got results. So boom, it actually pulled out one of the 900,000s, which was again kind of skewing our data. So we now have a pretty good data set. There was enough properties. And again, what you can actually justify is, okay, look at this Mohala Way right here. So this one, 2.15, priced pretty darn good. Been on the market quite a while. So one thing you can say is, hey, it's probably overpriced, and you're probably right. That's where you go into here though and look at, okay, there's a 6.5, 2.7 million, a 4-bed, 3.5 bath listed at 1.95. So 1.425, it's right in the mix, to tell you the truth. It's not, it doesn't immediately say it's grossly overpriced. They technically could probably come down in price, and it might actually close at a little bit of a lower price. But off this, what's available? So this is the competition. In escrow means this stuff is moving. So these prices are actually moving, which is good. But here's our true value, is what they're actually selling for. So again, homes are worth what people are willing and able to buy them for. And so your solds are going to be your value. The escrows are basically what is moving. So it gives you at least a temperature gauge on where the properties are moving. And then your actives are going to be your competition. It's what's going on. So again, when you look at Manoa area, straight up single family homes, it's the best. Lono was the best price basically that's available. So you have a 2.1 and a 2.2. You know what I mean? Again, the 2.2 is a lot bigger square foot of land, pretty much spot on for the interior. Built in 47, renovated in 1960. Again, probably overpriced, I'm guessing. So again, but these are all just things that kind of factor in. So another thing that you can do if you want to try to give an example is, let's actually copy all, and let's run a CMA. So in my opinion, and again, this goes for all marketplaces as well, you guys will each have your own little CMA. The CMA Brief is just my favorite. Anytime I'm doing a CMA for clients, I go days on market, list price versus sale price, CMA Brief. The other ones are just data graphs that I like to just have them look at. However, the CMA Brief just sums up everything perfectly. So we have a CMA. It's good for them to actually see what things are selling for in a bar graph data. Again, you could say, hey, you're priced, right here. There's actually things selling over, which means it should move pretty quickly. Again, the list price versus sold price. So you can actually see what they've listed for in the blue and what it actually sold for. So again, things aren't crazy off. You know what I mean? It's not like ginormous differences. So again, how does that impact the 1.425? And then again, this down here is the most powerful of the CMA, and it breaks down sold, average price per square feet, in escrow, price per square feet, in escrow not showing, and active. So the one thing that a lot of times, and most of the time I'm using when I'm explaining this to a client is, hey, what's available is what people are trying to get per square feet. What it's sold for is what people are actually getting price per square feet. So if they're saying what is sold is an average price per square feet of $620.25, apply that real quick just to the Lono place. So Lono place, which is 2204, throw in a calculator. And again, so anytime you're doing stuff, I'm doing all these little calculations to try to figure out if there's correlations to the data that I then can show clients. Because again, with this client, I sent him a straight calculator snapshot and I said, hey, look, this is what's going on price per square feet. So again, the average price per square feet in that area that has sold is 620.25 times 2204 gives you a price of, let's see, can you all see that? 1.367. So 1.367 million. Like, to tell you the truth, that's pretty damn spot on to where I could actually use that and say, hey, look, on the average price per square feet that they are actually selling for in that area, the price based on straight data statistics would be 1.367 million. So for everyone, just to know how I got that, I literally just did 620.25 times 2204 for the square feet of Lono place, and it gave us that 1.367. So are they priced pretty damn well? Absolutely. So again, I'm not sure when they talked to this other agent or whatnot that said a full price listing, it might have been higher. That 1.425 is priced pretty well. So, you know, straight numbers, I would say go, you know, maybe 1.375, but this is where you ask a client, you know, that's a $50,000 difference, which is not anything to snicker at, but when you're talking $1.4 million, do you love the home? If you love the home, then maybe that $50,000 is okay. Give them list price. And if the appraiser doesn't agree with it, then they'll come back and give us a different value. But again, 1.367 million on the calculation is pretty spot on. So does anyone have any questions on that, on kind of going into a little bit more detailed analysis and how to do these things? Because with this client as well, like, so you guys all know what I did. And this is a tell. This is not like, you don't tiptoe around this. Like, you send this to the client and you say, based on this analysis, based on these comparable sales, this average price per square feet, I'm getting a calculation of 1.367 million. It's right in the middle of everything. So it's a tell. It's like and again, there's not necessarily a 100% value calculation until it closes. If it closes at 1.425, then it was actually worth 1.425. But this is where you actually need to know a little bit how to go through, get the calculations, analyze the data, because you are then able to tell the client with absolute confidence, hey, this is what the calculation said. This is what I would say it's worth, or it's worth right between 1.375 and 1.425. So if you guys love it, let's go list price. If you want to try to get it a little bit of a discount, we could go something like 1.37. You know, and that's where I'm telling the client. And what they're also doing, and I've actually learned this with like working with a lot of military, like, I don't stutter. I don't say in these moments when I'm talking to clients. I'm very direct. I don't skip a beat. And it's 100% confidence that I am telling you what to do, and this is the actual value and what we should submit at. And when you say it that way, and you look at, like, again, these are cues for you as a sales individual to, one, you're not bullshitting them. You're actually using this data and statistics to give them actual advising. But again, it's like, in these moments, you want to make sure, like, I'm making perfect eye contact with them. I'm not stuttering. I'm not saying Each of these things is signifying that you know what the hell you're talking about. And so those are the cues that when you're doing it and you're about to go into that, like, you know, paragraph, like, script basically, or hey, I'm about to run them through. At that moment, you want to take that mental check mark and be like, make good eye contact, don't stutter, don't say deliver, and delivery. So delivery is going to be a huge aspect of delivery with confidence. And if you deliver it with confidence, with the data and statistics to back you up, you're now a professional who's advising a client correctly. So that is a rough how to go into some other properties. You know, me and Stacy have this other listing as well, and we'll actually just do a quick breeze on that one as well, just to get an idea. So everybody good? Thumbs up. Questions if you have questions. I'm not seeing the chat right now, so if you guys have something, just rattle it up.
Sorry, Travis, really quick. Where did you go to the the CMA brief?
So, yeah, not a problem. Let's see. So here, when you actually have your data set, which comparables. So like I said, I love numbers, and I could literally print just this comparable sales sheet out, and I could walk into a listing presentation just with this document. This is the most important document. It's the most powerful. It's literally what is going on value-wise. So you select it all. You go to CMA, and then again, all of you guys that are learning, again, different marketplaces or this one, go in here and just play with this stuff. Because again, I did it for a long time to where you have cover sheets, you have subject adjustments, price adjustments, summary list, comparables, and like I can add any of this stuff in there. Like you could go and add tons of stuff, right? Well, in my opinion and going through, if you have too much fluff, it's just too much fluff. So in my experience over the time of doing this, like just, again, the most powerful sheets, let's see, are going to be the comparables. So all the comparables does is it's taking that sheet that I just said I love, and it's just putting it into a different format. So days on market, list price, and then CMA brief. Boom. The most powerful three, in my opinion. Hit finish. View CMA. You can actually email that CMA directly to people, and you can get, boom, graph charts, the list price versus sold price. Again, a powerful sheet. Hey, these people aren't just shooting for the moon. They're getting pretty darn close to what they're listing at. You know what I mean? And you can actually see that in a graphical form. This actually has each of the comparables. It has what's available and days on market. Again, it's approaching 2 years, 2.15 overpriced. 160 day, half a year, 2.2 overpriced. Again, in escrow, not showing. So this means it's moved, and it moved relatively quickly. 1.6, 50 days, boom, priced well. 1.15, 5 days, boom, priced well. 1.425, again, this one, days on market, Lono Place, the one we're talking about, it was way overpriced, 1.8. And so that they've gradually come down to where now it's at market value. 1.6, 33 days, 1.7, 5 days, 1.95. And each of these you can go into if you want to analyze it a little bit in more detail. You can do I'll show you guys real quick. Oops. Okay, I can do the pro report, boom. And then what this does, you can use the pro if you want to. Again, I just skip right past it. However, this is for your detailed-oriented client, because what this does is actually will show them the properties. So, you know what I mean? It shows them a brief report of all of those different properties. You know what I mean? So if you're like, hey, this shanty was priced, this beautiful one was priced, the pro report goes into each of them, and it just shortens it to where you could actually go into, if they're going to say, hey, what is this one? Like these properties, I want to see what they actually look like. You could do the pro report, and it gives them a basic idea of those other comparables. There it is. Those are all the solds. Because again, if you have a mansion, a 2019 mansion, and you have a 1942 shanty, you could show them the differences between those here. So good.
So Juliet actually wrote in the chat that she was she had an accepted offer for that property.
Oh, well, this is our market and our industry. What price were you accepted at? If she doesn't mind sharing. Again, I can't see the chat right now.
Spot, right?
I'm putting you on the spot. I'll call people out.
Is she? I don't know if she's on anymore. But the chat said, I had an accepted offer on that listing, and my clients backed out because I found out that it was in an old slide zone, and they were really worried about the area. It was overpriced for a long time, though, to begin with, like you mentioned.
Yep. So, and again, a home in a slide zone, there's a certain price that people are willing and able to pay for it versus a home not in a slide zone. You know what I mean? So these are all the things that go into it. And again, the true value is what it closes at. And that's what you want to be able to explain to clients is I can give you an idea, price per square feet, and our opinion based on the data, but it's 100% true value is whatever it closes at. Then that is the true value of that property. The same thing with termite. So just so everyone knows, termite inspections, basically at the bottom of it, there's fine print that basically says like, hey, even though we evaluated, we're still not sure, because the only way to 100% truly know there are no termites in a home is for them to literally bulldoze the home. If they bulldoze the home, then they can look through the rubbish and be like, oh yeah, there's no termites, you're good. So that's they're saying is based on what we can see, there aren't any termites. However, we might not be able to see everything. So kind of the same concept as far as getting the value. Its true value is what it's going to close at. This other one. So let's see here. Coconut Grove. Kailua. So pretty, and this one has a pretty good swing on it too. Puako Way. This is our beautiful new listing. Good job, Stacy. Let me do something real quick. Single family. Go back a year. Let's go 3 to 5. What? 1.01 to 3. Fee simple. So same thing. So Coconut Grove, just real quick, just did a quick poll of this. You have a pretty good swing on this one. What's available? 950, 965, 1 million. And then again, what's moving? Basically 900,000 up to about 1,055,000. And then there's actually a 1.2 that moved as well. So Hualani, again, you have Oniava, you have Coconut Grove on one side of Oniava, and you have Coconut Grove on the other side of Oniava. Being able to know those differences is important. And again, each area is going to be different as far as if there is differences in value and stuff like that. So let's see, we'll actually take out the CPRs here as well. Really not too many. Hey, oh, that's right. CPR. Took some of them out. Good gosh. And then again, ours is 4.2. So again, you can actually start with 4.2 and then go from there. And then if you don't have enough data, then you can kind of expand. So we'll go 4 to 5, 1.5 up to 3 bathrooms. And it gives you basically a swing of 725, and then the lot square footage, again, is going to be 5,500. So you have a basically 725. I think this one is pretty much a tear down. So there's times where like if there's a huge spike, like it's a foreclosure tear down, I might take it out because it's basically, you know, what I will explain as it's an anomaly. This property doesn't actually give good value to the area because again, it was a tear down. So you're talking borderline just land value, not necessarily land with the home. Oh, Zeus Kang here. 840. 4-bed, 3 baths. Pretty good one. So we'll actually take a look at this. And again, so with the anomaly gone, you have what's available, which is right about $1 million. So again, the $1 million right here is priced pretty well when you're just basing it on here. And then you have an 800 to 1.2. So the average of those 800 to 1.2 is going to be the $1 million. That's not how we got the value at all, but it's right in the middle of everything basically. So you can refine, you can narrow, you can actually run another CMA here and just, this is checking it out with you guys. Again, same here. View CMA. So realistically, the average of what is selling is about $625 a square foot. Let's see. What's our square footage of that one as well? Let's see. 2,070. Actually comes out to like 1.2. So this is where you want to also be going through it and doing a ton of different adjustments. And to tell you the truth, this is where like knowing the difference between the sides of Oniava would like, I guess, manipulate the data. So the price per square foot on the property, though, you want to be cautious. Sometimes it can help your case. In Hawaii, though, again, land is crazy different. Oh yeah, let me do this real quick. So land in Hawaii is very valuable, and it can skew the data price per square feet. Again, if you have two of the same homes and one is on 20,000 square feet of land and the other is on 5,000, they're completely different properties and values. Okay, so 7,000, let's see. And then again, you can also map stuff out. So you can actually go, where are we at here? Just give me a same map. Oh yeah, I can do the map layout. Hey, you can actually, let's see here. So the more data you have, the better as well. So and you can kind of see, like I was talking about Oniava, you have upper and lower basically. So these ones right here are all the upper. These ones down here are the lower, and they're going to actually, these ones are probably 100 to 200,000 over the upper ones. Let's see. Hold on one sec. Juliet just messaged that she had to go to a signing. Good job, Juliet. Okay, so back here, and actually some different ways you can even do it. Let's see. Let's actually go here. Let's go map search. And if I wanted just to do this, again, because I'm tinkering around with the data and trying to find the best representation that I can include. So now we're just looking at the upper versus the lower. Let's open this back up a little bit just in case. $18 matches. Let's run that CMA. Let's see. So what was the last one? The last one was still 620 average price per square feet. And if that's not giving you good statistics or being able to crunch the numbers as far as the price per square feet, you could actually do like a high. So I mean, the best way to calculate price per square feet is, again, the total sales price divided by the square footage. So 1,070,000 divided by 1,780 is going to be 600 a price per square feet. And that's the high. So again, let's say 600 per square feet times 2,070 still gives you that 1.2. So the data keeps trying to say 1.2, but when you actually go through and analyze it, you can actually see like that's not necessarily adding up. That's still overpriced. And again, you can kind of go through and try to look at some of these comparables. 4-bed, 2-bath. This one's, let's see, ours is a little bit. $998. So I'm doing a calculation on this one right here. Price per square feet divided by 1526. That's going to be $650 a square feet. Let's see. $1,035,000. So calculate this one, 6.2, 1,035,000 at almost 2,000 square feet. So that's 520 a square foot. That's a pretty decent one. And that puts us right about 1,077,000 when you go through. So you can actually go in there and again, it's not, like I was saying, it's not perfect data. You're actually looking for data sets and trends, but you're looking for like actual statistics that you can use. So again, this 1,035,000 that sold, or 1,988, it sold at what, 520 per square feet. So, and you can actually, it depends on how much data they need. Some clients love the data and some of them don't really care, but these are some things that kind of help you sell. When you're in an open house, you could say, hey, you know, there was a low of 520 a square foot, and that's what we priced it on. We actually priced it based on the low price per square feet that's actually going on in Coconut Grove. So this is where you can actually use the data to help you sell. Let's see here. Well, let's go actually to the low side, 720. Well, that was the foreclosure. Let's see. So what is it? 765 at 828, 840, 2000. So again, that actually comes out about 412 a square foot. So that's going to be relatively low. And that's where ultimately this number gives you basically the average. It goes through all of these square footages and averages them, which can be a good statistics for you to use, or sometimes it can't. You know, if you have, and that's actually when I went through that Manoa, I actually took off the CPRs because that I realized that the CPRs were actually pulling down the value, and it wasn't like a true data set. So right when I did that, it actually gave us a better price per square foot analysis. So these are, again, just ways that you can go through. You're using the comps and the solds, and then again, even on the CMA, but again, like play around with the CMA, be able to go in here and analyze data, do some number crunching, go in here and calculate the price per square feet of all of these. Because again, the more work that you do and the more sophisticated some of these properties are, you might have to manually go through and get the price per square feet. And when you go into a listing presentation with that and you're like, I went through and I calculated all the price per square feet of everything that's sold, and here they are, here's all my calculations. Again, it just makes you look more professional. And again, you're not just a salesperson, but you're actually analyzing data and advising them based on that data, and it'll impress them. So I had a potential $4 million listing with like 9 homes on it, that like when I went to that listing presentation, I had graphs, statistics, calculations, cap rates. Like I had a bunch of stuff prepared for it. And again, Ocean Point, single family homes, less preparation. When you start going into these $1, $2, $3 million homes on Hawaii Loa Ridge, you better believe you're going to have some calculations here. And not only do you have to be a good salesperson, but you have to be smart on it and have data to back it up as well. And that's where kind of the whole package comes into. So that was kind of a rough, I love numbers. I can go on this stuff all day. Do you guys have any questions on any of this information, on the stuff we kind of ran through? Did it help? Do you guys have questions? Let's see. So,
Yeah, definitely helpful. Thank you.
yeah.
Hey, Travis, quick question.
Uh-huh.
So when you're doing CMA for a condo, you only account that building, or do you include other buildings? No, right?
So no, you try for that building. So that's where ultimately, absolutely, you crunch the building. If there's enough data, because again, what's selling in that building is basically the value of that building. So yeah, you start there. If you go into a building though with not a lot of sales, what are you going to do? Okay, if there's one sold in the past year, you're going to have to do something. So this is where you kind of start going around, and then this is where, like, what's the best way to explain it? Year built, the amenities, the maintenance fee, all of those things account for value. So if you're in one building that has tons of amenities, pool, gym, spa, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect comparable for a building with 0 amenities. So you're going to look at the age of the building, you're going to look at the maintenance fee, the amenities, and then you're going to try to go and find a comparable building that would help you justify the value. Just off the top of my head, so like transient accommodations, executive center, for example, downtown, that's a particular building. It's a very specific building. So you're not going to go executive center and then Capitol Place. That is not a good comparable building, because again, the maintenance fees are different. The age of the building is different. The use of the building is different because you can actually do short-term commercial. So again, executive center is not going to pair up with Capitol Place. So what you would do is you'd say, okay, here's Executive Center. What's some other similar buildings that may allow commercial short-term rentals, the hotel pooling. So Executive Center actually might pair with Ala Moana Hotel. So these are some things where when you're going through and you're trying to figure out how you're going to put this data together, and that's on you, because again, like somebody could go through and create a bad data set, and they could go and try to use that data set, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's correct. Because like a bad agent could take Executive Center and say, oh, well, Capitol Place is selling for, $1 million for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. So that's where, no, that's not how you do it. So, but Capitol Place, you could pair that with Keolalai. You could pair that with, what's the one? What's your favorite building right across Capitol Place?
My favorite building?
Yeah.
The Pinnacle?
Pinnacle, yeah. So you have Capitol Place. It could pair with the Pinnacle, which is right across the street from it. But again, that's where you actually need to go through and say, hey, and that's where you present yourself as an expert. So being able to go in there and say, hey, look, this is my data set. This is how I got the data. And some other things you can do, this is on the sales side, is you plant seeds. So one thing that I do in some listing appointments is I plant the seed of discount brokers, and I will deal with it head on. And I've told you guys we've worked on transactions together, when you have a problem, deal with it head on. Before they can even bring it up, you've already addressed it. So when I address discount brokers and say, hey, I'll tell you what, this is what we're going to do. I'm an expert in the field. I'm an expert in the area. We've put this together for you. Just so you know, if you talk to some other people that are discount brokers, that'll charge you X amount. They're going to take your home. They're going to throw it in the market, and it probably won't sell. And they're actually incentivized to underprice your property because they just want to get it off the books. So like right when I say that to a client, if they're shopping realtors and a discount broker comes in there and they show them, I'll price your home $100,000 under what Travis just said, that seed just grew in my client's head. And he's going to say, this is what Travis was talking about. These guys just want to underprice it. They're offering me a discount in commissions, but I'm going to lose $100,000. And so these are seeds. So the same thing goes when you explain how you got your data set and you say, this is why I'm the professional. Then if anyone else goes in there and tries to use a different data set and it doesn't look as well as yours, you'll win that client. So that's the sales aspect on taking data, presenting it to a client, and then again, planting seeds to get them to basically go with you. And there's times where like the unsell, I say it all the time, like, hey, I'd love to work with you. And if you're, interviewing other agents, I absolutely understand. When's your last interview? Perfect. I'm going to give you a call 30 minutes after that. And I'm just going to check how everything went. And if there's any questions that you have. So like, that's also kind of the follow-up. So, but when you say like, hey, I strongly advise you talk to some other realtors so you can see that we are the experts. It's like that, again, are seeds in their brain. Like, why is this guy telling me to go talk to other agents? You know what I mean? So these are all things that you can use to sell. But again, the basis for today's, which is important, is when a client does say, hey, what's the value? You do need to be able to go through and give a calculation the best way possible. And again, like even all the stuff that we went through now, it's not black and white. It's my best representation of how I could put that data together. And again, the more confidence that you have in it, the more it's going to actually be solidified as truth. So any other questions for you guys, or is that some good stuff for you?
That was really good. What do you do with stubborn sellers who are like, I need this number and I'm not willing to negotiate, even if you know it's not going to sell at all?
So it depends on my mood and I guess the time of the year. I guess it's
and the location of the house.
Yeah, and the location of the house. So it's like just like I've driven North Shore. So like I will help anybody on the island as long as they're semi-friendly and reasonable. So if it's $100,000 Makaha, I'll help them. If it's a $2 million Hawaii Kai, I'll help them. I drove to North Shore one time though. And we were up in Wailua, some condos. They were nice condos, but like nothing crazy. And the guy was just a total a-hole. Like right off the bat, he was a jerk. He was abrasive. And based on the comps and everything I was like, this thing maxes out at like 650. Like that's the highest we could possibly sell this. And that was probably a $50,000 stretch. So I was trying to stretch to even meet with this guy. And like, he actually never gave a number, but like, I know for a fact he wanted to try to list at like 850. And right then and there, like, we left and I never called him back. I didn't want the listing. He was way overpriced. It'll never sell. And it was North Shore. So it's like, if I'm going to drive, like, I want to actually potentially get a sale and work with reasonable people. So it's up to you. So like, and I'll tell people, like, you know, if it's priced, if it's hitting at 500,000 and you want to go 520, sure, absolutely. Dude, someone else, is this person door knocking us? Someone's about to knock on our door.
Right now?
Yeah, I think so. So if it's going at 500,000 and it's and they want to go 520, that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm like, sure. Just so you know, it's a little over. So we might have to come back down a little bit. We can try. But if it's 500 and they want to go 7, and you just say, hey, like, this won't sell. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to waste your time. You know, I try not to waste my time if at all possible. I'm not trying to be rude, but you know, this thing will not sell much over 500,000. And again, like, I've had an agent who tried to grossly overprice it, and when the appraisal came in low, because it did exactly where we thought it would, she like called and I did like have a talk with her, and I was like, I mean, okay, so do you have appliances? Like, are those appliances made out of gold? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, unless the appliances that you have are like made out of 24 karat gold, we can't justify this price being this far over. So again, it's up to you. Getting your sign in front of places is great, but you also don't want it to hurt, because if your sign is in front of a home for 2 years, you know, you might look like the realtor who can't sell a home. So this is where you kind of go down that path of, do I want to list it? And again, you can always run it by me, and you could say, okay, we'll overprice it a little bit. We'll, you know, worst case, we'll try to pull some clients out of this. You know, maybe they'll come to a reasonable price, maybe not. But again, it's all case by case what you want to do. Because, well, sorry, one sec here. So yeah, it's real estate. It's just case by case, because every listing that you take, it costs money. So like, you know, staging, photos, videos, like, you know, it's an investment. So like, you know, we've had listings that we took that didn't sell, and you know, at the end of the day, like that's photography invoices that you have to pay, and so that's where you also want to sell the home, and that's where I tell people, like, hey, we're not in the business of listing homes, we're in the business of selling them. So that's what we're here to do. So it's case by case. Anyone come across stuff, just always run it by me. I'll give you my opinion on whether you should take it or not. Again, if it's your next door neighbor and they want to overprice it, maybe it might make sense type stuff. So yeah. Anyone else have anything? Cool. Well, that pretty much wraps it up, everybody. Thank you for joining our today's Detailed CMAs. Tuesday, 10 a.m., we'll have our marketing with Pretty Bold Studios. She'll go over Canva. Again, we have a lot of templates and beautiful things for you guys to use, but some people just need a little help knowing how to adjust the templates so they can actually make it for themselves. So if you guys need anything, go ahead and Slack me in the meantime. But other than that, everyone have a beautiful, wonderful, safe, and fun 4th of July weekend. Barbecue, drink some beer, and then we will loop back around and see you guys on either Monday or Tuesday.
Thank you, Travis. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks, everybody.
See you later, buddy.
Later.